I need to add like a little more of a cool down cycle when I try to bike over here.
What do you mean by that? What would that look like?
You know, just like instead of getting here in 23 minutes, maybe at the end of the road, you just kind of take it easy and let everything come down to temperature.
I see.
Before barging into your house.
You know, the end of the road is not that far from the house.
I mean, like the end of the other road. Like you turn at the light, and then like that road plus the other road.
Okay, that's more substantial in terms of cool down.
Just kind of, add an extra 4 or 5 minutes there.
Yeah, I could see that being worth it.
Got here in 20.
But it's also cooling down, like in general, like the temperature's cooling down.
True. But after a week from Sunday, I'm never going to bike again, so.
That's true. You're never going to run. You're never going to swim. You're never going to bike.
That's how I was never going to run. I'm just never going to bike again. Definitely never going to swim again.
Just give that up.
Ugh. No one likes swimming that does triathlons. That's probably not true. There's like the occasion. Like you get the occasional like, yeah, I'm just a really strong swimmer and decided to get into this.
Yeah.
But it's more far and few between.
I feel like people are into swimming from like a, low impact, high calorie burn exercise.
It's a good exercise.
But I do think people swim besides triathlons.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. I don't know if it's my thing.
Don't know if it's your thing. It does have some practicality issues in terms of like where you have to go to do it. If you don't have a pool in your yard, you have to go somewhere for it.
Yep. You gotta like go to the pool and then swim, and then you have to get all the chlorine out of your body.
Yep. All the chlorine. Get it all out.
Yep. I don't know. It's just like a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if it's even like proportionally more calories over doing something else. I feel like running's probably the worst. Running is probably the worst for you.
Well, impact wise, it has to be.
Yeah, it's like definitely worse on your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to like be careful not to like overdo the running when doing all the tri training because you have to do so many of these so many workouts, like more so than marathon training, and so it's.
Yep.
I feel like more than anything, triathlons are just a biking sport.
You think so?
Yeah.
I guess it is the longest distance. Is that where people make up most of the time?
I mean, it depends on how fast you are. It's like you can't really make up a ton of time on the swim. Like, I'm slow. I'm going to swim that 1.2 in 50 minutes probably. The person who won the 70.3 like championship swam it in like 25 or 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, he's like crazy fast. But even still, that's 30 minutes. I mean, you're not going to make up a ton of time on the swim.
Yeah.
Whereas like on the bike, if you're slow, it could be 4 hours, but if you're fast, it could be 2 hours.
Oh, I see.
So that's like a huge chance to make up. But the main thing is that if you're base building, like you're just trying to build out your cardio endurance, you can sustain a bike ride at, a reasonable zone 2 heart rate for much longer than you can sustain a run and kind of in the same zone. And it's a lot easier on your body. So you can like turn around and do another workout a lot quicker coming off the bike. So as a result, a lot of the training plans are like just tons and tons of biking.
Yeah. I guess it's both impactful in terms of the time and it's easier to train a lot.
Correct. Right. So it's like you need this huge cardio base. So like just bike a ton is the answer. And like you got to do all the other stuff too, but it just feels proportionally weighted towards biking because from in like building endurance standpoint, you could probably build more endurance with less miles running, but you really need the like the time moving.
Yeah.
And that just comes to a bike ride. So which is why I feel like triathlons are more of a bike sport.
Yeah.
Plus you can really get into biking gear. There's like so much stuff you can do with your bike. Whereas running, you're like, which shoes am I going to get?
But you spend like 4 hours, at a time biking. And I mean, that seems like a lot. You feel like you're going to stop doing that after you finish this race?
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I would hope you would like enjoy it a little bit. You're spending so much time doing it.
I prefer running. I just like running more. And so, I mean, I'll probably still do biking stuff and mix it in. Like I'm probably not going to get rid of the biking thing.
That would be extreme. If you just like sell the bikes as soon as you
stop.
do the race.
Like I'm done. Yeah. No more biking.
Yeah. Just leave it at the track. Leave it at the course. Don't even take it home.
One less thing I have to bring home.
There you go.
Perfect.
Welcome back to the Camera Gear Podcast. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Lucas.
And we're here today to talk about the gear, software, and techniques we use to shoot photos and video.
Daniel, we didn't brief on what we're talking about today at all.
We're just doing it live.
Like I have all this stuff on here as the episode, but I don't know if you know what we're talking about.
I do know what we're talking
and
about.
I don't know if you're like ready, or just regular ready, or what.
I mean, I'd say regular ready, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, I thought about what we could name this show podcast thing. But we just name it about what we talk about, so we couldn't have like a fancy name like a segment or anything. But this is a very medium format heavy episode.
I do think that's true based on the topics we have today.
Only going to talk about cameras that have sensors larger than standard 35 millimeter 24 by 36.
It already makes us pretty niche as far as podcasts go.
Is it?
I mean, I would think a little bit.
People love big sensors.
They do. They definitely do.
Love big sensors.
Yep.
You know, I always find it a bit funny how, you know, particularly with this GFX Eterna 55, which isn't even our first topic, how much of the marketing has been around how big the sensor is. Like that is their main focus.
Yeah
is
sure.
Look at this honker. But then also they're like, you don't need that much sensor size. Look at these 40 megapixel APS-C cameras that we also sell.
Yeah, Fuji's marketing in that regard has always been a little interesting.
I feel like their XF line and their GFX line are just entirely different companies.
Yeah, it does feel that way.
Yep.
I guess it's just that when you have marketing material, it's hard to communicate all the nuance. Like I think there is value in what Fuji does, where it's like here is a smaller camera with smaller lenses that is still like pretty high megapixel. And you can see how that would be a different person, the person who wants like the medium format sensor that's just huge megapixels with no regard for the size of the camera or the lens. But
I guess
it's hard to say all that in a marketing poster.
Fuji's not really going out there saying you don't need full frame. Look at this APS-C, sort of. I don't know if they've ever really said that. It feels like maybe that's more of the fanboy argument.
I don't know. I don't know if they ever have like in an interview or something. Like surely somebody has asked them, are you going to create a full frame camera? I mean, that question has to have come up. So they must have an answer.
And the answer is like, well, we're just going to sell everything but full frame cameras because that market is saturated.
Yeah. Well, not wrong.
Yep.
I think their strategy makes sense.
Anyway, so that's a good intro to what we're actually talking about, which is the Hasselblad X2D II Mark II.
Yep. The X2D II.
It's a very good name.
It is.
X2D II. Though to not confuse people, we should call it by its full name.
Which is
the X2D100C Mark II.
Yep. And that's because it gets to the boiling temperature of water when you use it?
I hope not. So I know that everyone is very, very familiar with the remarkable Hasselblad X2D, which is their travel-friendly,
for whatever that means,
more street-focused, medium format Hasselblad camera.
Now, some would say pocket size.
Yeah, pocket size. Let's go with that. Want something that you can always have with you.
Yep.
Well, this is the Mark II, and I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think people have been waiting to see it, and I saw a little bit of a splash when it came out, like maybe more than I would have expected for a camera that's this expensive and honestly this niche.
Some people seem to be like really, really into it, and I didn't know there was that many Hasselblad fans out there. I mean, I'm a big fan of DJI myself, but it always seems like Hasselblad has kind of been the Leica to Fujifilm's medium format, if that's a correct way to say that, where they're like the more expensive, more fancy version, though.
I would say so.
They're not really that much more expensive than a GFX camera.
Yeah.
Like what does a GFX 100 II cost?
It's got to be. I mean, isn't it close to $1,000?
I thought it was.
Sorry, $10,000.
Yeah, about $1,000. No, I think it's like $8,500 or something.
Yeah, so honestly, more expensive than this camera.
Yeah, so like it's not really a fancier version of a GFX,
but the brand has a lot of cachet to it because it's been around for a really long time. I think it's always been associated with quality, and I mean, I would say that when you hear the name, I think it's right up there with Leica in terms of like respect.
Leica would be very offended to hear you say that. For one, I think that the not trade-off, but the selling point for the GFX 100 cameras is maybe different than that of the Hasselblad cameras. where I think that the Hasselblad has really kind of focused on this is for image quality and photography and color accuracy. And like, for instance, the burst rate on this camera sucks. Like they even reduced it. It was 3.3 frames per second in the last camera, and now it's 3 frames per second. And like 100 megapixels, great. In the last version, the video mode was just like coming soon. And this time they just took it out. There's no video mode.
It's a bold move.
Because like that's not what Hasselblad's about. And I think that they really kind of refocused the X2D II on what is it mean, like what does Hasselblad do with cameras here? Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think it's just a different sell than your other media formats.
I respect that. I mean, I think, we've gotten kind of used to this idea that every camera does everything, in the sense that like you're going to buy a camera and it can always do photo and video, and it's like going to be decent at both. I mean, cinema cameras excluded. And I don't know. I mean, I think there are a lot of people out there that only shoot photos, and I can respect what they're doing with focusing on a subset of photography and only focusing on photography. I think that could still be a really compelling camera for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I wanted to try diving into this by, instead of just chewing through the specs, I want to kind of maybe ask a few questions, and we can talk through it in that way. So, and it's just going to turn into talking about the specs anyway, so it doesn't matter. But Daniel, I want to know, is this the best Hasselblad camera ever?
I mean, that's a pretty bold question. I have to admit that I'm not overly familiar with their whole lineup, so I don't know if I could say whether it is or not. But
so they have,
sell me on it.
They have this camera, like the X2D, and then they have those. What is it? Like, it's like the 970X100.
Is that the one that looks? Don't they? Because they make like a digital film back for a media, for like the other kind of medium format camera. Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's like the 907X, which is the body for this medium format camera with like the viewfinder and stuff, and then you can put a film back or a digital back on it, and then like the 100C, I think, is the back. But this is all the V mount, so like those are their V mount cameras, and it's mostly like that style where you're like holding this. You
like hold it at your little like hold it at your waist or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, that stuff, which is their different mount.
Whereas this one looks like a normal camera, like it looks like a GFX 100.
Right, and then they had the X1D, which was like their maybe 50 megapixel camera, and then they have their X2D, which is their 100 megapixel, and these are the more typical like camera body style cameras, and that's pretty much it. So it's like we have the X2D line, which is their X mount stuff, and then we have the 907 V mount stuff, and that's pretty much Hasselblad's lineup. So like the question on like, is this the best Hasselblad ever? Like the 907X is a completely different cell. It's not really like an auto-focused standard mirrorless camera. And so from that standpoint, I don't know like if you could say this is their flagship or that's their flagship. I think it's more of like their two different approaches to photography.
I think so too.
But in their X system, this seems to be the best X system Hasselblad camera. And I have listed a bunch of reasons why. The first one here is that it's Team Tilty screen.
So I see that it does that. It's not an articulating screen. It's like the photography oriented tilt screen. I assume the previous one did not have that.
I have no idea. The point is, it's not a flippy screen. It's a tilty screen because this is a photography first camera, Daniel. Why would you have a flippy screen on a non-photography first camera? The spec
list I'm looking at says it's an OLED screen.
It's also HDR and goes up to 1400 nits.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
As you may not know, this is a very HDR focused camera.
I did not know that.
But also it's a little weird. So you can shoot JPEGs in HDR, and they are the same formatting style, whereas if you took, basically they're taking the P3 color gamut and they're expanding it in a way to fit an HDR image into a P3 JPEG. And so if like you took those photos and you loaded them onto your phone, similar to how on an iPhone, like they're JPEGs still, unless you choose to shoot in HEIF. They're JPEGs that show in HDR. You can now take this image off your Hasselblad camera, put it on your phone, and you will see it in HDR. But you can also see it in HDR on the back of the screen. It's
good that they made the screen actually support that.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're normally pretty skeptical on HDR, and I feel like, for example, on the phone, you kind of hate HDR. So do you feel like that's a compelling feature?
I hate HDR on the phone because you can't dim it. It's just like, we're going full brightness right now, and I don't care what you're doing.
That's true.
Just maybe like give it a range. Like if I'm at 10% brightness, maybe only HDR up to 20% brightness.
That would be nice.
Make it a little brighter. Don't go to like freaking 3,000 nits whenever my screen's at 1 nit, because it's just bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
anyway,
I do agree with that.
I think that shooting in HDR on a mirrorless camera has felt, it's like a second step, right? You can just shoot RAW on anything. Like I can take a RAW off of my X-T5, bring it into Lightroom, and it will give me the option to like turn on HDR and kind of work within an HDR workspace within the same file, right? Because you're still shooting, 12 to 15 stops of dynamic range. I mean, if you're shooting on this X2D II, you're shooting almost 16 stops. It's like 15 and a half stops of dynamic range. I think that the fact that you're looking at it in HDR on the back of the screen changes everything. You're now like really working in an HDR workflow because you're shooting in an HDR workflow. And I think it's particularly interesting on this Hasselblad in that if you're going to shoot in RAW and you want HDR, you pretty much have to use, like if you set it into the HDR mode and you shoot in RAW, you have to use the Hasselblad software to develop it. Whereas you could just shoot in not HDR and then take the RAWs into Lightroom and do the HDR that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you shoot in JPEG, you can't shoot HDR in manual.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like more of an aperture shutter speed priority mode, which is weird.
Well, maybe is it because to do the HDR, like there are certain manual settings you could pick that just wouldn't allow it?
I think so. Yeah. I think it has to do with like you don't want to drop the shutter speed below a certain rate or something. Mm-hmm. So it's limited in that way. And then if you shoot in HEIF in HDR, it doesn't it's not fully supported as a color space on every device, and so like that gets a little weird. And so like there's a lot of weirdness around it. But I think where it's really, really interesting is that you are shooting in an auto mode like aperture priority or something, and you put this in JPEG HDR, and you can see the pictures on the back of the screen, and they're going to look how they're going to look, and that'll be like your final format.
Your final format. Final medium format.
So I think that like one of the interesting things about Hasselblad here is that, so I talked a little bit about how like GFX and Hasselblad are like kind of two opposing philosophies in like how you might approach this 100 megapixel medium format world.
Mm-hmm.
On this camera, there are no color profiles.
It's just a standard profile. Huh?
You get accurate, quote unquote accurate, not quote unquote, like they're really good. It's really good, Daniel. Like I'm not, don't want to sound shady. Hasselblad colors look stinking good, but they have this natural, as color accurate as they think they can get, Hasselblad color profile, and that's their jam. Like that's it. That's you get what you get, and you don't get upset.
I respect it. I mean, Leica kind of does something similar, right? Like I think they do let you adjust it more than that, but Leica has a certain look, and people buy Leica cameras because they want that look. And this feels like maybe a more extreme version of that same
right. Idea. And Leica's really into their monochrome and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but I know. Yeah.
It's like for this camera, it's almost as if you want to shoot in HEIF or JPEG in HDR in auto, like aperture priority or something, and then that's it. And you're not really intending to go back and do a bunch of like color grading on these things because you want the Hasselblad colors.
Yeah, why'd you buy it otherwise?
So
right?
like you don't really necessarily like you want the RAWs for later. Probably you're going to shoot in RAW plus JPEG, but taking this and then just shooting and getting 15 stops of dynamic range in a JPEG or whatever, shooting HDR, and then just delivering it because like those are the colors you want anyway. Maybe you need to tweak the exposure, but that's it. I think it's just kind of a different trade-off. It's not that, oh, I'm going to shoot in RAW on my, 60 megapixel full frame camera, and then I'm going to like modify the heck out of it in Lightroom later.
Yeah.
It really feels like this understands people want an HDR workflow, providing them the hardware and software to do it all in camera.
It does feel like it makes sense with that idea in mind of like the way you use the camera. It makes sense to provide like the HDR screen and being able to just kind of do it all right there because it fits that workflow better.
Mm-hmm. And I think just like that whole ethos around this is new to the X2D II and is one of the reasons why this is the best Hasselblad ever made.
I like the way it looks. I think the physical design of the camera is really cool.
I like the orange button.
Yeah.
Orange button's good.
Yep. Well, it's kind of got like a matte black type finish, and I like it.
It has that elephant skin pattern for the grip.
Yep.
It's just kind of good.
Yeah.
It has a leaf shutter as all the X2 models do. So you can do like 1/4000 shutter speed sync.
Nice.
Yeah, super nice. They dropped the base ISO. I think it's pretty much the same sensor as the last one, but they're taking it from 64 to 50, and that's giving you like just a little more DR. And they added 2 more stops of IBIS, so it's like 10 stops of IBIS.
10 stops?
It's kind of a big deal, right? It's like I
had to think about that for a second, but man.
Yeah, so you can still like their IBIS is only so good. Like it's not like really, really good. I think that the last iteration with the 7 stops was maybe just like passable, but the reviews on this that we're seeing seem to imply that this is finally at the point where it's making a difference, if that makes sense. Whenever you shoot in such high resolutions, when you're shooting 100 megapixels, it's really hard to realize that full resolution unless you're on a tripod.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess the higher the resolution, the more like the even tiny little jitters would affect it.
Yeah, and like you may not notice, but it's like, oh, maybe this is just a little soft or something. But the IBIS on this, the improvement that they made has gotten to the point where it's like you actually can start seeing the benefit of the 100 megapixels handheld.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is kind of like the whole point of this camera is it's supposed to be just with you handheld.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the kind of camera that you're like really taking a long time to like set up your shots and stuff.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, everything else is just kind of pretty much standard about this. It's got like a 5.7 million .EVF and blah, 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 shoots 16-bit RAW, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I mean.
Pretty interesting.
That's it. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That's not something.
You think so?
I don't know.
Well, what would be bad about it? What's the problem?
I don't know. So like maybe, is this the worst Hasselblad ever?
I mean, you just told me it was the best. You can't turn around.
I'm just saying. I mean, maybe it's the worst.
Maybe.
It only has 1 card slot.
I did see it has a terabyte of internal storage.
Okay, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty good.
That's a lot.
I mean, do you think that's the... So we see it a lot where...
It's at more and more.
You get one CF Express B and you get 1 SD card.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want that, or do you want 1 CF Express B and a terabyte of internal storage?
Well, it's hard to say because I do generally still like to pop out the SD card and use that to offload my stuff, because otherwise it's like I have to, say I get my laptop out and I want to offload my photos. I have to go like get the camera and, a cable and stuff and bring it. It's a lot nicer if I can just pop the SD card out, and bring that. But I mean, a terabyte is a lot. And I think that may be worth it. Like having that much space and just never having to think about an SD card seems like it could be pretty nice.
Could be pretty nice.
I like having both options, though. I think it's cool to have the CF Express if you just really want like that memory card lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess like for a camera like this, where I imagine the photos are pretty large file size wise, I think that's a good trade-off to make, where you get the internal storage, but then if you really want a removable card, I think the size, like the capacity of a CF Express Type B makes more sense.
I feel like for something like this camera, I would take the trade-off for the internal storage versus 2 cards.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. Okay. Worst battery life. The SEPA shot count is like 327 versus 400.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not enough to matter, I don't think.
Okay. Well, it's the same 100 megapixel sensor. It didn't make it any better, Daniel.
Well, I guess it's weird that they lowered the base ISO.
Yeah, you got to get that dynamic range. They dropped the continuous burst from 3.3 to 3.
Man, that's going to add up. Shoot for a few seconds, you lost a photo.
Yep. If you want to shoot raw, I've already talked about this. But if you want to shoot raw HDR, you got to use the Hasselblad software.
Mm-hmm.
It's real limited. You can't even shoot HDR in manual. I know I already mentioned that too, but these are all the reasons it's the worst camera, Daniel.
These things don't and you've also listed here, like, just kind of in general, it's pretty slow. You're not getting like the bursts, you can't like the three frames per second, etc. But I guess it just comes down to what you're using this for. Like, you're not going to be shooting sports in this thing. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. You're going to take intentional stills.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to go out. You're going to go do photography with this camera for sure.
Even the autofocus, man, it's just slow. It's a lot better than it was. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But it's still slow.
Yeah.
Just all slow. Slow.
My feeling so far is that it's a camera for a specific purpose. And I feel like for that purpose, the trade-offs they made make a lot of sense. But, I don't think anybody's going to argue that this is like the perfect photography camera for all cases.
There is no compressed RAW on this camera, and there's no crop modes. So if you're going to shoot in RAW, you're getting full on 100 megapixel RAW, uncompressed.
Man, I don't know. Maybe that's a worthwhile trade-off. You do have that terabyte of internal storage, and you made a pretty good argument earlier about why you might prefer JPEG on this camera. So,
how many megabytes are in a terabyte? 1,000? No, there's 1,000 gigs.
Yeah.
It'd be 1,000.
Yeah,
right?
1,000.
1,000.
That would be a million.
And then each of those pictures is 200 megabytes. So you can take 5,000 pictures, Daniel.
That's a pretty good amount of pictures.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
But if you're saving those RAWs, that is going to add up on your storage space.
Yeah, they are. Which is why you should shoot this not in RAW.
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay. I think that's everything that makes it the worst one. So not too much bad stuff about this.
I would maybe add the strap hooks. I don't know what's going on with those things, but the way you attach a strap to this camera does not make me feel good. Maybe I must be missing something about how that system works. But it reminds me, if anybody listening to this has played guitar, if you get a guitar and don't replace the strap mounts with ones that have strap locks, it looks like that. Like, it looks like there's just like a little pin that you kind of just like press the strap onto. Not a big fan.
Interesting. You just tie it off. Just tie it off on there.
I guess. I don't know. I like the little clips.
Yeah, that's a little questionable.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see somebody strap that on and see what that looks like. Okay, is this the most DJI Hasselblad ever?
Is it?
Is it? It has lasers.
What does it have lasers for?
It has LiDAR autofocus, Daniel.
It's pretty cool. I guess it's interesting. It's like they've taken that technology that because they've had that on like the gimbals, and they've had all that stuff.
And the Ronin.
Yeah.
4D.
They've had all the stuff where you can integrate it with manual focus lenses. And is this the first camera that they've actually integrated that in? I think it must be, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Pretty cool. It's got lasers. I'm just saying. It's pretty cool. Is this the best medium format camera now?
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, let's say you've talked about like the GFX 100 RF, which is maybe a little different because you don't have to put a lens on it and so on. But let's say you were in the market for a GFX 100 II. Do you think this would tempt you?
Man, I'm gonna say it again. It's a totally different trade-off. I think getting those Hasselblad colors would be really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the people who want that GFX are the ones who want a mirrorless camera, hybrid mirrorless camera experience in the largest format that they can. Mm-hmm. And those are people who want, the film simulations and the lens ecosystem support and the video features and all this sort of thing.
I really wonder how many people are using the video features.
I mean, they made a whole nother camera just because of them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think that the X2D II it's more for like the photography purist.
Yeah.
And
for sure. It definitely is.
To me, it's like the person who is looking for a new, like a medium format camera, but is still waiting for them to make one.
Yeah.
This is maybe more the speed than the GFX.
Yeah, the whole thing feels very Leica to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it does feel maybe like it's more about the experience rather than the features, because it's clearly more, overall is more feature limited than something like the GFX.
I think other than having to deal with the potential annoyances of the hesitant autofocus system, which is fast from a like laser acquisition standpoint, but slow from a software holding on a target standpoint.
Yeah.
If like that's not going to annoy you, I think that this is maybe just a better overall experience of just like shooting.
Well,
Probably.
I would maybe hope so, because it seems like that would be one of the things they'd really be prioritizing. I like the design of the camera better. Like just looking at it, I think it looks way better than the GFX.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't know how many X lenses that they have. There's only a handful. They did release a new lens with this, and it's supposedly like a first of its kind, and that it is a medium format variable aperture zoom. And so it's like a 35 to 100, 2.8 to f4.
Okay.
But most of your zooms for medium format do not open to 2.8.
Interesting.
So it is particularly fast
for
and I guess that focal range.
35 to 100 medium format is probably like roughly 24 to 70, right?
Yeah, give or take. It's like 28 to 76 or something silly. Okay. But it's kind of in that range. So
yeah.
I think it's interesting, especially for people who are into that Hasselblad ecosystem. And
yeah.
I think that it's definitely not a DJI's making a camera situation. It's still very much a Hasselblad camera.
That's the vibe I get from it.
And I think the most obvious reason, like the most obvious thing that says that is they took the video mode out.
For sure. Yeah, DJI would not, if it was a DJI branded camera, that would not have happened, wouldn't I guess?
Yeah. So the things that are particularly new, if you're like coming from an X2D to an X2D II, it's like they added the laser focus and the subject detection. The focus on the previous one was hot garbage. They took away the video mode. They added a dedicated Q menu, which is like super, super nice. They added a joystick that will click in. Like having to set the focus with the touchscreen before was really annoying.
Yeah, that's a lot better than a joystick.
Then they bumped the back panel to 2.3 million dots, where I talked about it being HDR. They added these like magnetic locks for the port covers. So they slide out and then they door open.
Oh.
But the sliding part magnetizes. And so when you like door it close, like on a hinge, and then you push it and it goes snap.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It sounds pleasant to use.
It does sound pleasant to use. I agree. But those are like the main features, kind of more usability, better user controls, like another custom buttons, like 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
And otherwise, just like overall, it's just a nice improvement over the X2D.
I think that's cool. I mean, it's I'm probably never going to buy a over $7,000 photography only camera, but I feel like this would be appealing to me if that's what I was looking for. Like, just I get what they're going for with, like, this is a different experience of using a camera than what you get using like a Sony A1 or a GFX 100 or a Canon R1. Like it gives you something different. But I think it's they've done a good job of kind of like carving out a different space, and I like that.
It's been about 3 weeks since I've really thought about the GFX 100 RF, and then you brought that up, and now I'm just like, do I still need a GFX 100 RF? And I think the answer is yes. Okay, Daniel, you have a question here that seems like it would dovetail off of this, but I'm going to tell you that we don't have time to answer this question.
Yeah, I think that one's going to have to get pushed to a future week.
Don't have time.
I agree with you.
Because we have to talk about the GFX Eterna 55, which, as advertised, is going to take 3 dedicated episodes, and you've given me a half of episode.
I mean, there's nothing say we're going to finish today, but I guess let's reorganize ourselves, and then we'll talk about that. We'll be back in just a moment, but we wanted to let you know that if you'd like to support the show, you can now subscribe to us on Patreon. It helps cover our hosting costs so we can keep the show running, and you might find an occasional behind-the-scenes post on there, like some photos we've taken recently or a mini review of some new gear. If you're interested, you can find us at patreon.com/cameragearpodcast. Okay, so there was that one day a couple weeks ago where the Nikon ZR was released, the Red V-Raptor XE was released, Canon C50, that lens, the 85 1.4.
Yep.
And on that same day, a lot of information came out about the GFX Eterna.
Yep.
And somehow I've managed to push you off until now on covering that on the show.
Actually released. You can pre-order it.
Yep.
/order it, question
And
mark?
I think there's an actual date that it is coming. I think it's in October, if I recall.
Yep. And they announced the lens that they're going to sell with it.
They announced the name of the camera.
Yep. Actual name, all the real specs. I mean, it's like, it's
We have all the things now, I would say.
for real official.
Yep.
It's happening. It is now the GFX Eterna 55, and it seems like there's going to be more Eternas based upon all of the stuff. And so we really want to just spend the rest of this episode speculating about the the XF Eterna. What would it be? What's the diagonal of a APS-C Super 35 sensor? Probably 35, right?
I would think.
Let's call it Super 35. The Super 35
That makes a lot of sense.
XF Eterna Super 35. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What do you think about it? It would be just another XH2, but better.
literally the same XH2, just in a different body.
Yep. I mean, it would have to shoot internal RAW, right?
That's true.
You know what doesn't shoot internal RAW? This camera. What the heck? Anyways, we're going to get to that, Daniel.
Yep.
Don't get me off topic here.
I hope everyone's ready for the next 3
Okay.
hours of this podcast.
So I thought, you know what? We're going to be spending a lot of time on this. Let's start with like maybe making it more of almost like a game, but not a game.
Because you're not joking around with this. This is very serious to you.
This is maybe the most important thing we've ever covered on this podcast.
You think so?
And I want to talk about first 10 reasons why the GFX Eterna is a revolution in cinematography.
You getting paid by Fuji now or what? That definitely sounds like it's from their marketing.
Just trust me here.
Uh-huh. Okay.
First
You got it.
reason, feel free to disagree with me, which I don't know how you would. It's a medium format.
Well, I don't think I can disagree with that. That is maybe the only thing you'll say here that I can't find something to disagree about. But I think that is factually true.
I think there's like we're gonna get anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. Dan. I don't even know how to get into this.
Well,
This
we've talked about that before on the show, right? Because whenever the GFX 100, the Deuce came out, they talked so much about, like here's this image circle and look at all these different lenses you can put on there. And it feels like all of that marketing was really them justifying this camera.
Oh, for sure.
And,
yeah.
And so here we are. It's like all of that seemed kind of weird to talk about with the GFX, but here it's like, okay, like on a cinema camera, all of that makes perfect sense.
So the big deal, there's two things that are, I think, really, really interesting about this. The first is everything that you mentioned as far as how they marketed this camera's like this 102 megapixel lens used in a video application, which was if you have a really big canvas with that much resolution, why not just use it as an opportunity to have access to all of the formats you could need
without compromising on like on a full frame sensor. Sure, you can crop in, but you're losing a lot of like important resolution.
Right.
This is so high resolution that you don't really lose out.
And I think that concept is where the first weird trade-off happens here. You can shoot RAW on this camera only over HDMI, not SDI, not internal, only over HDMI. By default, it shoots in ProRes HQ, which is still like good. Shooting in F-Log 2C in ProRes HQ is really, really good.
Yeah, but it's
not RAW.
But it is odd that the only way you can do RAW is specifically over HDMI.
Right. But the main selling point here is, or one of the big selling points here is that you can shoot in open gate 4x3 GF size. You can shoot in Promista. You can shoot in 35 millimeter, anamorphic, Super 35. And within all of those formats, whether they be 4x3, 3x2, 16x9, 17x9, DCI 4K, like you can pick your format. You can pick a 1:1 8K resolution that's like roughly 35 millimeter, give or take. You can have all the flexibility of all the different formats because the sensor's so big.
Yeah.
But you can't give that in RAW because RAW is raw sensor data.
Yeah.
And so I think that maybe that was part of the calculus here was like, if this is the feature is all the formats, then we can't do all the formats in RAW.
Yeah. That is interesting. I still wish they had given you RAW like over SDI and honestly raw internal, even if it had the trade-off of, you can only do this full sensor size or whatever. But I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So there's that piece of it. The second piece of it is, yes, there are 65 millimeter sensor cameras. If you're going to shoot in the biggest format on digital right now, it's pretty much 65 millimeter. And that is, there's the Blackmagic, what is it, 17? The Ursa
17K.
Yeah, the Ursa 17K Cine, which I'm pumped about that camera. And then there's like the Airy 65.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so you can shoot in 65 digital, but that is essentially two 35 millimeter sensors side by side.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very wide ratio. Shooting in, there are no large format digital cameras that for like cinema use that are this tall. This is the tallest at 4x3, this sensor coverage. Like, it's unique in that way.
Interesting.
And what's particularly interesting about it being unique in that way is it is 4x3, not 3x2.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the traditional perf size. If you were shooting in like 35 millimeter, I think it's like 4 perf or something, anamorphic, you're shooting on 4x3.
Okay, so it's good for anamorphic stuff.
It's really good for anamorphic stuff because you're starting in 4x3 in that traditional aspect ratio.
Mm-hmm.
But then because it's so tall, because it's that tall 4x3, but also 55 millimeter, you can get an anamorphic image with this sensor format that you have not been able to get in digital ever.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think for that reason, like even that reason alone, this is an incredibly interesting proposition. It opens up opportunities to bring back some like Panavision lenses from the 70s or the 80s that have like particular looks or that kind of thing, where you want something that has maybe 65 millimeter format coverage, but you want to shoot an anamorphic. Like, you can get an even deeper squeeze off of this and like use some of those old film lenses that maybe would be a little, I know I said deeper squeeze, Daniel, shut up.
That's not what I'm laughing at.
Anyways, it's just like it's a little more, right? It's like, you threw me off, whatever.
So
you get what I'm saying.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking on it. That I think that the pattern we're going to see, everything we talk about this camera, I think it's technically very good. But I just can't get over feeling like this is a like pretentious film nerds camera.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like that that is exactly what that is this is the perfect camera if you want to use weird Panavision lenses from the 70s and all these other things we're going to talk about. I think it all kind of like tells that same story. Mm-hmm. And honestly, like, this fits in pretty well with the Hasselblad stuff, because I think it's kind of a similar deal where it's like, this is probably not going to be the camera for every cinema use, but for certain people, this is going to be the ideal thing.
I mean, imagine that person who has this Cook lens that they've written the name of every movie they've shot on it, and their name's, I don't know, like John Carpenter. Not really. He wouldn't shoot on this. Maybe he would. I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know. Anyways, but so you got a guy. He's like, these are the lenses that I want to shoot on. Mm-hmm. And like Fujifilm over here is like, look at all this heritage that we have with Eterna film that we don't make anymore. What if you could have Eterna, but in digital?
Yep. And use those lenses with like the right aspect ratio,
and you can use
image circle and all that.
Any lens you want on this camera, because the image circle is insane.
Yep. It's starting to make sense in terms of what they're going for with this.
Oh yeah. So that's my number one reason.
Okay.
Is the coverage and the absolute uniqueness of the proposition of this camera. And I could just keep belaboring this point for a while, so I'm not going to. Number 2, lens options for PL65. / just lens options. It's really just lens options.
I mean, didn't we just get done saying like you can use any lens you want?
Pretty much. You Sigma makes those as you primes.
Those are pretty new.
They're a 46.3 millimeter image circle, so smaller than the 55. You'd have to shoot in a smaller format, but you have that ability.
You have to expect that with this camera. Like, it gives you all that capability, but I think you would have to get over the idea that like, I'm not using the whole sensor. Like, that's kind of the point, is the sensor is bigger than you need it to be.
Mm-hmm. But you still have the resolution to shoot in like 8K even on that image circle. That's cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just slap those PLs on there. This because of the format options, and because it supports, adapting to PL. with like a screw it in locking mount.
Yeah.
You have this huge array of lenses available to you, which is pretty stinking cool.
Yeah.
Number 3, F-Log 2C. And the LUTs are coming.
What does that mean?
It means that they're going to release LUTs for this camera to convert F-Log 2C into classic chrome or Velvia or Astia or Provia.
Yeah. So you'll be able to use a lot of the common Fujifilm simulations on it.
Daniel, if those work for my camera, I'm going to lose my mind.
You think they will? Because, I mean, it's just color, but it's also like an X-trans sensor versus not. Like, I don't know if that would.
I'm going to try
we'll
it.
See.
You know I'm going to try it. Because I really like shooting in F-Log 2. Mm-hmm. I love the dynamic range out of it. I love the image I get out of it. And I rarely will shoot in like classic chrome or some other. Like, I don't even shoot in Eterna anymore.
Yeah.
I used to shoot in it all the time, but now I don't, because it's like I know that I can get if I can get a true image if I need it off of F-Log 2C, and I really like the way it looks. But sometimes I'd like to be able to shoot in that logarithmic, profile, but then be able to deliver in something like
that way you don't
chrome.
have to decide at the time of shooting. Like, that's the whole advantage to that.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been saying for years, give me the LUTs, man.
Give me the LUTs.
You give me an Eterna and you give me a Rec 709.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my classic chrome LUT?
Yep.
Come on. Where is it?
You'll probably only be able to get them if you buy this camera.
We're going to find out. Yep. Someone's going to release them online. That's going to happen, Daniel.
Yeah.
Anyways. Also, this supports you loading your own custom LUTs. You can put 10 on here.
That is nice. I feel like it's, maybe not as, I don't know if cinema cameras offer that or not. I mean, I think most of the time in like a cinema workflow, you're going to be processing it after the fact. But I guess for monitoring stuff, it's
you still need to be able to see it for monitoring.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm surprised that Fuji's letting you do that, because normally they're like ours or none.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. Number 4, it's only $16,500.
Only. That was something that we were really waiting to see with this, and that was one of those pieces of information that we only got when it was announced a few weeks ago. And I think on this podcast we had said that we felt like it needed to be under $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And
we did.
And I felt like the C400 was going to be tough competition for it, even if it was $10,000, because the C400 is what, like $8,000?
Yep.
And here they came in at more than twice the price of a C400.
Now, Daniel, I know that C400 can shoot raw internal and has triple base ISO, but can it shoot 65 millimeter lens format coverage?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's what they're, that's kind of what they're banking on. But man, it's a high price.
Or it's a steal, and I don't know which.
Depends on who you are, probably.
If you're out there buying if you're an Ursa 17K Cine, Ursa Cine 17K is more money than this.
Yeah, I think it's like, isn't it like 30,000?
I don't think it's that high.
Yeah, because I don't even know if it's out yet.
An Aries 65 is more money than this.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but on the other hand, if the large sensor size is kind of just like a nice to have, if it's not why you're buying this camera, then at that point, I'm thinking for the same money, I can get like a fully kitted out Ursa Cine 12K, or for less money, I could get a C400. It's just like, it feels like if you don't need the large sensor, it makes it a harder sell.
Pretty much. But it's like that's the argument, right? Is for what it is, if you are viewing it as a large format cinema camera,
sure.
That is, and like anything over Super 35 is technically a large format cinema camera, right? But it's approaching that 65 millimeter. It's like halfway in between. What a deal. But if you're comparing it to like an Ursa Cine 12K that has 80 megapixel resolution, and costs like $6,000 less, and probably has a roughly equivalent dynamic range, and it's going to have be able to shoot Blackmagic RAW, is going to be incredible. Like, ooh, boy.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I'm saying. It's like if the sensor size is not why you're buying the camera, I think it's a pretty high price.
All right. Okay. Number 5 here. Can shoot 8K. Shoot 8K.
Sure can. A lot of other cameras can too.
Got those 8Ks. This is really the part where I started running out of things. Number 6, you can hot swap the battery.
I did think that feature was cool because they talked about that a little bit before, and yeah, it's like you can put a W235 like Fuji mirrorless battery in it and kind of run it. I think it said you can run it like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So for one thing, if you want, you can just buy a bunch of those. Like, don't even buy a bigger battery.
So it's like a 21 watt power consumption nominally from the camera without like a monitor and a bunch of stuff.
But it is cool that they did that just for like hot swap capability, because I think, I don't know what this one's going to be like, but cinema cameras can take a long time to turn on. And, you know, just in general, if you're in the middle of a shoot, you probably don't want to be like powering your camera off and on. So it's nice to be able to hot swap.
It continuously tops this battery off. So that battery should be fully charged. And you pull off your, what is it, V or B mount, I forget. And you just swap the batteries, and there you go.
It's a clever way to do that. I like that.
It's very good. Could we say that it's one of the reasons why this is a revolution in cinematography?
I don't know. I still don't know.
Number 7 here is the controls. Besides the fact that it has 2 record buttons, it's got that little knob thing, and you can like switch the knob between all your fizz stuff. So you got focus, iris, zoom, and then also ND, which this thing has variable ND, and you can just like. You click it, and then you turn the knob. And
it remind me, but I think they have 2 ways you can do that, right? Because there's one on the front of the camera, but then they have that top handle.
Right.
It's on that also lets you do it.
That's correct. It's on the front of the camera, on the front left, and then it's also on the handle, and they both work the same way.
Yeah. I was impressed when I saw that, because it felt to me like they understood what people want on cameras like this, and I appreciate that they did that. That research and design this.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good user input. This is the first Fuji camera with variable NDs.
That is a nice feature.
I was gonna say just NDs, but the X100 series has ND filters.
Do you know if it's electronic or optical?
It is electronic, so it's not optical. Yeah. I haven't seen any tests yet because these aren't in people's hands, so we don't know how good it is at IR filtration.
Yeah, that's been a problem for Sony, I know.
Yes, I mean it's just generally a problem with these, whatever electronically variable NDs. They aren't super good at IR filtration, and you can get magenta shifting on either the high or the low range, and it's just like they're only so good. And with Fuji being such a snob for color with their cameras, and
you would think it would matter to them to get that right.
Yeah, so I'm really curious to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I also feel like the camera that really comes to mind that had these problems was the Burano.
Yep, yeah, for sure.
And I mean, the Burano is a more expensive camera than this, but I still kind of feel like the Burano was made. You really had like run and gun in mind more than maybe more than image quality, like with some of the decisions they made on that camera, like the IBIS and stuff. But I just feel like with this, Fuji seems like they're really trying to push like the colors and all that, and it's hard to imagine them putting that in if it had any compromise on the image itself.
Didn't they issue a fix for the ND?
They did, yeah. They did like a recall basically. It's like you had to send your camera in, but yeah, there was a fix for that.
All right. Number 9 here is that it's double monitors on each side.
Yeah, that's another thing where it feels like they listen to what people need with cameras like this.
I mean, it's really common, especially for something like this, so like they made this as we want this to be a small and mobile type camera. Like I think it's like 4 pounds. It's like 4 inches, 4.5 by 5 inches or something like that. It's not a huge camera.
Yeah.
But whenever you rig this out with a monitor and a handle and PL lenses and like the giant batteries you're going to slap on the back of it.
It's
going to be a bit of a honker.
Yeah.
And I think that whenever you're rigging out like that and you have like a full on camera rig, you have usually your, AC on one side and your operator on the other, or you have your director on one side and operator on the other.
Right.
And being able to have a side camera feed in addition to the monitor on the camera itself that like over top, super handy.
Yeah.
And they also have a very easy switch on there to just lock it out.
Yeah.
So if you want somebody to be able to see it but not touch the buttons, you can like lock the camera controls on either side.
Yeah.
And man, we've rigged up cameras for use where it's like, oh boy, I have to get to the other side of the camera to do this thing. And it's really, really annoying.
Yep.
But being able to like pick the side you're working on, super great.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that makes it feel like this was thought out and not just like, oh, let's do a money grab by taking the GFX 100 and putting it in a different body. Like they really thought about what people wanted.
Absolutely. So for number 10 here, I actually just left it blank because I knew you would have a reason why the GFX Eterna is a
You
revolution
did
in
not leave it
cinematography.
blank. It said Fuji a moment ago.
I think that, Daniel, I agree with you. That is a good reason. Fujifilm has been really missing in the cinematography world for quite a while. I mean, they were huge with the Eterna film and the color, and I absolutely agree with you that just the fact that this is a Fujifilm camera, this should be number 10.
I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think that it's good to see Fuji taking this type of market seriously. I don't know if that's a reason why this camera itself is a revolution in cinematography, but like this makes me curious to see what else Fuji is going to release in their like cinema line. So just seeing that they're doing that, I think is really cool.
It is really cool. Okay, Daniel. Let's talk about why the GFX Eterna is a total miss.
Perfect. Been looking forward to this part.
I'm sure you have. I mean, number one here is obvious.
No internal RAW.
There's no internal RAW.
Yeah.
This is a cinema camera.
What are you guys thinking?
What the heck? Like, what the heck? What are you doing? And you have to do it over HDMI. It's just like, come on.
Yeah. Like, why only HDMI? Why not SDI?
It's because it's just a GFX 100 the deuce
Yeah.
in disguise.
Honestly, that part does feel a little sketchy, right? It's like, come on, guys, really? Like, you couldn't, it's $16,000. Like, you couldn't make it do RAW over SDI?
Or just internal.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's a cinema camera.
Weird choice.
I mean, I don't know. It's just not great. I feel like shooting in RAW is synonymous with like cinema cameras. I mean, from the get-go, like the move to digital was always like, well, we can't really do all this compressed processing. We just have to pull the data off and then do it in post. I feel like you can't really get into like high-level workflows if you're not able to produce RAW. And like, sure, you can just do like the 8K, 4K, 30, but the real modes and the real capabilities of this camera are locked behind ProRes HQ, which is like a really good format. A lot of things use for ProRes HQ. I think that you're gonna be able to do like documentaries and TV and that sort of stuff. But if you want to get into like premium level movies, outside of like the indie sphere or low budget, like this is handcuffed.
It's one of the only things about this camera, because I just got done saying, the way they physically designed it feels like they really listened to user feedback and, and all that. It's one of the only things about this camera that makes it feel like it's just not really like ultra pro.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess we weren't necessarily asking for that, but I mean,
but the price sure sounds like it is.
Which is number 2 here. It's expensive comparatively. It's $16,500. And I know I was just arguing the opposite side of this, but you're playing in red territory. You're right up there with, you're over an FX9, you're over a C400. So you're saying this is like premium. It's not maybe in the cheaper side of the cinematography world that like, maybe a V-Raptor is a little more expensive if you get like the high-end V-Raptor. But there are some Reds that are this expensive. And it's like Red Raw or ProRes HQ with this GFX camera.
Yeah.
And I think that for the money, they position this in such a weird spot.
Well, and especially because I think you have another point on here with like lenses. I think that fits in really well with what you're saying, because if you want to take advantage of what they've done with that large, medium format sensor, the lenses that you would really be using are pretty expensive too. So it makes like the overall setup, I feel like, is very expensive.
Yeah, it unlocks some exciting lenses, but they're lenses that you basically have to rent.
Yeah.
Like literally can't buy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to rent. Yeah.
So it makes it fit into a certain type of user, that's like not you or me,
mm-hmm.
And is people with a lot of money to spend.
Yeah, for sure. So, man, like if this was $8,000, I'd be like, hey, maybe we need GFX Eternas.
I think if it was $8,000, we'd be having that conversation of like, we've talked about getting Pixis 12K.
Mm-hmm.
This is more expensive, but I think you could have that conversation of like, does it fit into that?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was the cost of the 12K, the Ursa Cine
Yeah.
12K, you could still you could have that conversation, but it feels like this is just like in a different price tier from that. And I'm not it does provide in some ways more functionality than those cameras, but the question is, does it provide the right set of added functionality?
And that's what I can't decide here. Is it like, if they just put RAW on it, would we be having this conversation?
Yeah, good question.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
Number 3 here is CF Express and SD. So there's
SD feels like such a weird choice.
It's a weird choice. Like, it makes sense so much in that, you can record proxies simultaneously in H.265 to the SD while you're shooting in ProRes HQ.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. But also, why not just put 2 CF Express cards in there?
Yeah.
Like, why are they cheaping out on this other than the fact that they have the module that has the CF Express and the SD, but they don't have a dual CF Express card?
That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
I would have rather have seen an SSD recording option or something, like if you're going to do something weird with media.
I don't think that the media necessarily is too limited here, and CF Express is a good application for this, but you can only get CF Express cards up to 2 terabytes, and this is shooting in ProRes HQ by default, which means you're going to get about 300 minutes.
Yeah. You're going to be buying a lot of those cards.
Yeah, which 300 minutes is okay, but you basically only get 2.5 hours or something like that, or 3 hours on this.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah.
3.
Well, and that storage is expensive.
Yeah, that's like $500 a card, right? When you spend $16,000 on a camera, maybe that's not a problem.
Yeah. Well, and you're just going to be recording RAW over HDMI to your Ninja anyway. So
aren't you? Right? But Daniel, what if you needed that pre-mist to 5.4K?
That's true.
I guess you can shoot 8K RAW or whatever, but you need what is it? You need that GF Full HD 120 FPS. You need that DCI 4K 60, man. Can't do that RAW. Anyway, number 4 here is lens affordability.
Yep. Kind of talked about that one a little bit.
We did a little bit, except I was giving you the plus side of you can just shoot with whatever lens you want. The other side of this is that if you want to shoot something that actually uses the format, good luck.
Yeah.
You're going to be paying for obscenely expensive PL lenses that are 65 millimeter coverage.
Just adding to your high cost of ownership or usership of this camera.
Or you're going to be shooting with GFX photo lenses, which aren't video lenses, and those are going to be expensive.
Yep.
They did ship a new lens with this camera.
Yeah. Do you remember what that lens was?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up here real quick.
Man, why do I have in my mind that it was like a power zoom lens?
That
can't be right.
No, I think it was. It was a 32 to 90 3.5 T3.5 power zoom.
Interesting choice.
It has OIS, and it works with the fizz, and it's weather sealed, and it's a 32 to 90, and it is enormous, and it's geared for cinema use.
Interesting.
It's a pretty cool lens.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool lens.
I wonder how common power zoom is in cinema lenses. It's definitely broadcast, but I'm not sure about cinema.
I think it's like a nice to have here.
Yeah.
And I think that them shipping that lens with this camera, that seems to be kind of like the perfect thing for this.
Yeah. That concept fits. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. So, but that's the only lens. That's not true. It's not the only lens. But it's kind of like the one that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything else is all just a little weird or one-off or expensive. And so a lens affordability, I think, is a interesting topic for this camera.
Yeah, I think so too.
We mentioned it above, but I think it's a little deaf to the market.
Meaning what?
It's just everything we're talking about as far as the fact that the Sony Burano and the Ursa Cine and the V-Raptor and the C400 all exist in this price range. Yeah. And I get that in every other aspect of Fujifilm's camera world, they can pretty much just ignore what everyone else is doing and just Fuji going to Fuji. I don't know if that works here.
Well, it feels like they took a similar strategy where they said, what is everybody else doing? We're going to not quite do the same thing. And maybe that will work for them. But I think it kind of comes back to feeling like they made a weird set of trade-offs with this camera.
My number 6 here is that despite it having cool power options and be able to hot swap batteries, you're going to have to hot swap batteries on this thing, because with 21 watts for just the camera, you add the monitor and everything else you're going to run on this thing, it's going to chew through batteries. Like you're going to
so?
have like a 99 watt, V mount. It's probably only going to last you an hour or hour and a half at most.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think that like with everything you're going to connect to this, I think that it's going to be maybe a little of a power hog.
I don't know. I think you get 2 hours maybe. Like if you have a Teradek or something, that's when you start running into trouble. But
Yeah.
I mean, 99 watt hours, like if you just had the camera, would last you, almost 5 hours.
Right, but that doesn't include the monitor. That's if
Yeah,
you're only using
that's
the
true.
one that's on the side. It doesn't include like the on-top monitor. And
Yeah.
if you're going to shoot RAW or bring a Ninja or
Yeah.
anything, like all of a sudden you're just really slurping it down.
Yeah.
So
No, that's true.
I don't know. Number 7, there's too many options.
What do you mean by that?
I mean by all the format stuff. Like they show that picture with the image circle and then all the formats you can fit in there.
I remember being kind of overwhelmed by that when we looked at it before.
I think that a lot of people who shoot on cinema cameras want to be able to grab their like Cine Ursa, shoot in 12K Pro, Blackmagic RAW or whatever, just shoot full sensor RAW and then deal with it in post.
Yeah.
Because like that's the format
Could be.
with the best quality that you're going to shoot in. Whereas for this, I don't even know if the RAW over HDMI is the best quality that you're going to shoot with. So you kind of have to. There's just like too many options.
It kind of reminds me of how, like on the XH2S, when you want to pick your codec and stuff, that feels like they give you too many choices in terms of pick your codec, pick your bit rate, and all that stuff. And something we've said on this podcast many times is like, why do they give me that many options? Just tell me what the best combinations are, and only give me those.
Which
And
I strongly disagree with.
with this, I'm not sure though, because it's a cinema camera. So on one hand, I feel like I want to have all that flexibility. It's great to have all those options, but I see what you're saying, where like it kind of has like the Sony problem, where it feels like you have to really know the ins and outs of this camera to use it effectively.
Yeah, I mean it's jack of all trades, master of none. Oftentimes better than the master of one.
Think so?
Yeah,
I don't know.
which I guess is more of a positive sentiment.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you think of it as a positive. It's kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of, this one's neutral to me. I don't know if it's good or bad.
It's kind of huge.
Earlier you said it was small.
I know.
You're saying it's huge.
It depends on how you look at it, which is everything with this camera.
Sure is. Unless you're looking at the left and the right, because both sides have a screen. So
It is small, but I think that with everything you need to make it great, it becomes large.
Yeah.
Especially because these large format cameras require large lenses. And so it's just going to be a lot.
yeah. Yeah, they almost had to make the body smaller, else it would, wouldn't fit in the room.
This next one, number 10, to be honest, I don't really like this one on here, but no IBIS.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a factor for what, like it is a consideration for how you can use this camera. And like in particular, when you see like having a power zoom lens, having fizz control on a top handle, etc., like you do kind of think, and with the camera unrigged being small, you do kind of think like maybe this would be a cool like run and gun documentary style thing. But then you have to think, am I okay with not having IBIS? It's probably all right with how heavy the whole setup's going to be. And we know that for cinema stuff, a lot of times you don't want IBIS. But, like if you compare it to the Burano, it's a different set of trade-offs.
How much does a 99 watt hour V-mount battery weigh?
Quite a bit.
Like 2 pounds? 1 pound?
I mean, one minimum, probably more than that, I would think.
So if you put this, 32 to 90 millimeter GFX Cine lens on here, that weighs 4.7 pounds. The camera itself weighs 4.4. So you're at 9 already. You add the battery, you're at 10.
Yeah.
You add the monitor, whatever, handle, etc. This thing is 12 pounds.
You probably don't need IBIS then.
Easy.
Yeah.
You don't need IBIS.
Yeah. That's plenty of weight.
The inertia is gonna carry out all the jitter that you need, and then you're gonna get that natural look, Daniel.
That's true. Yeah. Probably the right choice.
You know what? Maybe I should just move this up to number 10 on my reasons why this is a revolution in cinematography. The weight of the IBIS. Anyways, number 10 here. It's just 12-bit RAW over HDMI. Just 12 bits.
Yeah.
That's all you get. You just get the 12.
Not great.
You don't get 14-bit RAW.
I mean,
it's that's the whole deal with like this thing in photo mode is, 16-bit or whatever. They do the 14-bit readout on the XH2S, but they're only giving you 12-bit RAW over HDMI at that. This is the same as number 1.
It doesn't feel like they want you to shoot RAW on this camera.
They don't want you to, because you don't need to.
Yep.
Because Daniel, I think the reason here is, I mean, this is just how we're gonna end it. Okay, I'm gonna read you this off their website. Eterna, a name that means eternal. What once lived on celluloid now returns in the digital age. The soul of cinema, the passage of time, colors that stir emotions. Introducing a new kind of filmmaking camera, crafted to reflect the creator's eye and heart. Infused with the depth of Fujifilm's enduring wisdom, it's built to create stories that stand the test of time.
I just can't handle it. I know you want to end the podcast there, but I can't. It's too much. Couple of things. One, the video that they released when they announced all this stuff was not in focus.
Oh my gosh, Daniel. It was the first video that they put out, which was like the tech corner, where they're like, hey, this is just like the off to the side tech corner where we're going to talk about it. It wasn't even like the marketing videos. Out of focus.
like not soft, not like Tiffin Pro Mist filter, out of focus.
Literally the background was in focus and he wasn't in focus. What are we doing? How did this ship?
Of all times, of all companies, like I feel like one of the reasons we don't do video for this podcast is because we feel like with our topic, the standards would be very high, for us to produce
yeah,
video.
The amount of time that it would take to produce that quality of video.
Yeah, and this is like, you're literally announcing a cinema camera. How is this not in focus?
It's just
doesn't make any sense.
It's the baseline.
Yep.
Come on.
The real question I wanted to ask you is, if you were making a movie, do you feel like this is the camera you would want? Like, obviously you and I are not at the point of spending $16,000 on a cinema camera, but if you were making a movie,
if I was making a movie and I had like $100,000 budget for my geek camera equipment or something like that.
I mean, like, let's be reasonable about it. Like, because I feel like everyone's going to say Airy if they can choose anything. Like, within reason, if you're making like an indie film, like, would this be something you'd be thinking about, or do you feel like it's just not quite there yet?
I'd be too scared to do it. I would be too scared to use this because if I'm shooting a film and I have a low budget and I know that like I got to get it in 1 or I got to get it in 2, I really, really want to shoot that in RAW, because if I don't want to like miss the white balance and not be able to get the grade. And yes, like in a real workflow like that, you're looking at dailies, you're checking footage, you're going to do reshoots if you have to do reshoots because everything has to be perfect. But if I'm shooting an indie film, I may not have that luxury.
Yeah.
I may only have actors for a certain amount of time, a certain amount of budget,
or whatever,
all that stuff. And for that reason, boy, do I want to shoot it in RAW. And I think that something like that's just like, that's the turnoff for me. Where like if I was a seasoned filmmaker and like I knew what I wanted, and so like the Bob Dylan movie that they shot that thing at like ISO whatever, like 12,800, and because they wanted it to look crunchy. Whoo boy. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah,
I'd be scared.
Pretty bold.
I'd be like, but if I was of the mind, like if I was maybe more fixated on like, this is the look that I want.
Yeah.
And I know that I can shoot this in whatever bleach bypass because I'm making the movie 300. And I know that that's what I want it to look like. Then yeah, sure. Shoot in ProRes, check the dailies, make sure everything's perfect whenever you do the shots and like work through it. And then F-Log 2C and ProRes, like you can push that so far. It's going to be okay. I think that for those kind of things where like if I was maybe more confident in it, I would trend towards this because I'm like that kind of person that wants to shoot on a Cook lens from 1965.
Yeah, so it's like that aspects of it appeal to you, but the lack of RAW just kind of makes you concerned with the level of experience you have.
I think that comes down to confidence. So if I was like seasoned, probably yes.
Yeah.
But not being seasoned, I would feel like I would be leaning so hard towards the Blackmagic stuff. Like an Ursa Cine 12K seems so perfect.
Yeah. So what do you think what's your prediction for how this is going to do in the market?
I think that there are people who read the this thing Eterna Legacy reimagined for a new era.
You think that just really speaks to some people?
And that resonates with them?
Yeah.
That's who this is for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like there are people who that is absolutely going to work for.
Yeah.
It's I think there's photographers and cinematographers out there that like there's the technical people that are like give me the most technically correct thing that I can like manipulate and make my final version. And then there's the ones that want to be able to see it and see it as they shoot it.
Yeah.
And
like it's more about like the art to some
exactly.
people.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm going to shoot with this camera because I know that just straight out of the box, the skin tones look exactly like I want them to look. And I can get this highlight roll off and like I can get a look that I can't get otherwise. And I think that's who this is for. It's for people who like want to be able to shoot in 4:3 in a 55 millimeter image circle and shoot that in anamorphic and get this depth of field and look and bokeh that like literally can't get with any other camera. And I think for seeing what people do for those kind of applications, I think is going to be the most interesting use case.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels to me like it's going to be really niche because it's got to be somebody who approaches the work that way and who has the budget to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And I'll be really surprised if we see this used on like Hollywood movies too often. But I'm curious to see where it goes for them. I mean, like what I would be more interested in is if they came out with something that's more like Canon C80 or C400 level of camera where. Missing some features, but maybe more targeted to like that run and gun, less experienced use case. I mean, I think, it would open it up to a lot more people in terms of like budget and stuff, but maybe this was the right way for them to start in terms of, it is targeted to a very specific thing, but, maybe they can learn from that and then apply that to future cameras in the line.
I think it's the most Fuji way to do this. And that's perfect for them, right? It's just it's exactly how I would have expected Fujifilm to bring this to market. And as like a big old Fuji stan, I love it, and I would absolutely love to own and shoot on one of these.
Yeah,
but I can't imagine a road in like the work that we do in my life that would lead me to a point where I would ever actually like shoot on one of these things. Yeah. I think that. With all the compromises that it takes to get there, I would always make a different choice.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's frustrating because I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's super, super cool. I would say it's borderline a revolution in cinematography.
That's it for the show today. Thanks for joining us. And if you liked it, tell a friend so they can check it out too. You can find out more about the show at www.cameragearpodcast.com. And you can find us on Twitter @CameraGearPod. We'll be back with more next week.